whole movie, from what I've heard from the plot, they didn't really actually focus too much on the Civil War, like the origins of it or anything like that. It's just kind
No,
of like,
that
hey,
was never
America
included.
is in a civil war right now.
Yes.
That's that,
We don't know how,
which
we
is
don't know
actually
why, but
which is actually in some cases good filmmaking. Like, you don't need to know all the details. You just need to be like, hey, here's a world that exists, and here are the people in it, and this is what they're going to try and accomplish. And apparently, he really wanted to focus on war journalists being heroes, and that's why the focus is really all on them.
on the
And now
journalists.
the reviewers who I watch, they have different concepts and ideas about the character development, and some things being good, some things being bad. Overall, the general consensus was it's an okay film. Entertaining, but kind of like, and also left uh, very ambiguously, so that as an audience, you think the way you want to think about
Yeah,
what it
yeah,
means,
true.
which is the art of it all. You see,
Hmm.
it makes you think.
Well,
But
I do think a plus is that like no one was perfectly happy with this film from both ideological grounds. People on the left were really unhappy because they didn't think that it was anti-Trump enough, and people on the right were really unhappy because they were like, "This is obviously Trump," So the fact that it
which means
didn't,
it's probably good
yeah,
from that
I
perspective.
like that.
It makes people think. It doesn't
I
make anybody 100%
yes,
happy. But I think
I
what's
like it when
interesting,
both people are not, both sides are not happy.
yeah, but I think what's interesting about, and it clearly, there's like certain things that just, like, don't make sense, because so it's clearly in a different world. Like, California and Texas would never be on the same side.
I
That's
like that they did that though. I think
I
Well,
mean,
they
that's
did
what I'm saying. It's a
change.
different world,
They did
right?
change that. So so you're still going off the advertisement from when we reviewed the preview a few
Oh,
months
so that
ago.
did change.
They did change, and that has changed recently. So it used to be, I think it was Republic of California, Republic of Texas, the Florida Alliance, and the West Loyalist states and the Western Forces. So basically, what happened is the Republic of California gave way, and now the whole West Coast is just the Western Forces. And
Okay.
ran by Portland, so I'm not sure that's so great. And
That's
then
definitely not great.
no, and then you had the
It's definitely
Republic,
bad.
then the Republic of Texas and the Florida Alliance was still kind of like allied, which would make more sense in a
That
real
definitely
world.
makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And then the Loyalist states were basically the Northeast and the Midwest, which I could see. I could see.
because
No,
that
the
is different
Northeast
than
is
like the
definitely
maps
not.
that they were putting out. So they changed that quite late then.
Yeah,
Yeah, they changed. I think
they changed that.
they changed it about a month ago, just before the film was being released, because
Oh,
from what I've read, it was because they were getting a lot of pushback online over the fact that the Republic of Texas and California would never be allied
Right.
in a
Right.
million years.
Well, that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That they
yeah.
definitely would not. But yeah, so I think what's interesting from what I heard and what I reviewed and what I saw of clips of the film and stuff like this is that the focus really is on like these war journalists, and not so much that, and really like what war journalists go through. And what the director was talking about really was wanting to pinpoint and highlight the issues that he was seeing with journalism in America. That actually was the focal point. And I was interesting that he made reference a few times to how journalism is becoming way more like propaganda these days,
mm.
which is why you should watch more Men of the Times.
Mhm.
But um, that people, it really has become more of a propaganda machine, where really it was supposed to be a check and balance on what is happening in government, hence showing, what's going on in this civil war, and what are the real things that are actually happening, to educate the populace and show what the actual crazy leader is actually doing and saying behind closed doors and things.
Well, it's very interesting you
So,
bring that up, particularly with the state of NPR right now.
Mm.
Did you hear about that?
no.
Okay. I forget. Look up his name if you could, Discount Jamie.
Yeah,
But
I was just reading about this recently.
yeah,
I'll find it.
he's a stalwart old school NPR editor that had been there for like 25 years. And like last week in an interview, he was just like, yeah, NPR has gone way too far to the left, especially after the election of Donald Trump in 2016. And that's fine for certain platforms, but seeing as that
Yuri Berliner.
Yuri Berliner,
for a living.
but seeing as we're a public platform that's funded by the federal government, we have an obligation to at least try to listen to all sides because we're publicly funded.
Yes,
And
that seems like a reasonable perspective.
and then the CEO, and then there's this. I think he might be a new CEO of NPR. She publicly admonished him to basically made it impossible for him to stay there, and he quit today. And Barry Weiss, Barry Weiss and the Free Press, these people, these are just old school constitutional liberals who cared about the actual practice of journalism.
No, actual.
Yeah,
They're just actual liberals.
they're actual, yes, just actual liberals.
There's a
Actual
distinction
liberals.
between liberals and
Radical.
the rest of them.
Yeah,
at
yes,
this point.
yes.
Progressives and liberals used to be the same, but now they are distinctly different.
Yeah, the progressives are purging the liberals from the
Like
institutions.
the progressives are becoming radical, and
Yes.
the liberals are looking at them going, "We used to be you in like the 60s and 70s,
Yes,
and
yeah.
now you're saying we're conservative."
Yeah, yeah.
What?
Oh,
It's literally like that meme Elon Musk
Yes,
posted.
yeah,
It's literally
yeah.
just the line has been moved so far.
And
that
Elon's
it's-
just like, I'm
it's
a
wild.
normal guy from 20 years ago. What
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I know. And so he's officially been fired from NPR.
Well,
Well, that's the whole point of
my understanding is that he actually resigned.
He resigned.
Well-
So no. Well, okay. So I read this, and this is reasonable, right? So NPR prohibits its journalists from just randomly going off and publishing on other sites without talking to them first or getting it cleared, which he clearly did.
Yeah.
Right, and they warned him, "Don't do this again, or we're going to fire you." And then he resigned. Now, I'm sure there was plenty of other animosity directed at him from NPR, but to say that NPR fired him for no cause, he did violate this frankly important policy. So,
Right.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that makes sense. But again, it just goes to the point of this film as well, is that how media in America used to be vastly different and trusted and well respected. And you could go to various different channels and feel like you could get actual news. And now, as the director was saying, and a lot of these other pundits and people that I watched that gave reviews, they're saying, journalism today is not. It's just not what it was.
No.
It's clearly mouthpieces for the establishment, for the potentially, you could say, the elites, corporate interests, things like this. It's not,
Or the political parties.
right. It's not like what it is in this film. Real journalists trying to show the people what's actually going on, what's real, what's actually happening,
And that was
trying to keep the power in check. It's almost, the media in some cases, why it's so important to have that in the First Amendment, to have freedom of press. In addition to freedom of speech, the freedom to protest, the freedom of religion, so on and so forth, is to allow. It's almost like a fourth check and balance, right, from the three branches of government, right?
That was what the press was meant
legislative, executive, and judicial.
Yeah.
But then the press is almost like a fourth check, because the press can
Yeah.
comment on all three of them and tell the people what's going on, who have the power to vote in at least the two of those branches that will make decisions necessarily on that third branch. So it all, it should all work in harmony. So when you have certain functions and facets of those branches now working in cahoots together, if you will, it can start to bring down
Yes.
the tenets. And I think that's where the real worry of a theoretical civil war could happen, is when and that is something we're seeing now, where the people are looking at media and they're going, "You're not really doing your job." The numbers, I mean, I think the media in some cases is either right at or has lower numbers than even politicians do at this point. I mean, that's sad. That is sad.
I know, but the power that they still have is
But do they?
I do. I think so.
What power? I mean, in all fairness,
Boomers.
no, I don't even think so. I don't even
See,
think so much.
okay, see,
I think just like you were saying earlier, for the boomers, it's sports. Politics is sports. They watch the Fox News. It's like that Shane Gillis joke about, "Oh, you can have a Fox News dad." That's a good dad.
Yeah.
You have a Fox News mom. That's crazy. That's not good. Right? It's like that's that joke,
My
right?
mom is a Fox
Like
News mom.
you want an MSNBC mom and
So
a Fox
do
News
mine.
dad. You know, it's like
Yeah.
that's what that that's what that's about. It's like this new generation, right? They're going and they're watching the Joe Rogan Experience. They're
Yeah.
watching Tucker Carlson. They're watching PBD. They're watching Tim Pool. They're watching Shapiro. They're watching Media Matters for folks others. They're going to these alternative. They're watching Men of the Times podcast.
They're watching. Yes, they're watching the Daily Wire or Crooked Media, which is the Pod Save America bros.
Yeah, they're going to people
millennials
like that.
down are getting podcasts.